Okay, so actually I think I'm stumbling on a new interesting path of reasoning there. That if you're looking for forcing variations, you don't turn up anything. Don't be depressed by it. It just shows the opponent's got a good position. The opponent's using prophylaxis, maybe, just solid position. It's really when there's tactical vulnerabilities that there's going to be anything turned up, maybe of interest. But it's still worth checking out, I think. Anyway, so let's play this quiet Sicilian variation. So bishop here. There's a G5 line, which is very interesting. He hasn't played that. Okay. So what do I play here? Knight C6 or Knight B3? I think Tau would do this, I hope. And this is Knight E4, and I've just blundered theoretically. Black has good compensation for the pawn here. Yes. Very good. He's got E5. It's a well-known positional pawn sack. There's a video on it, a very nice video. But why take with the bishop? I thought taking with the pawn give black even more dynamism. In fact, taking the bishop, I'm pointing at D6. Maybe I can use the F file. He's not letting me castle, that's the point. I could have castled kingside. If I just notice the significance of that, I can castle kingside. If Queen B6, Bishop F2, right, let me castle kingside. I'm going to take the opportunity now. So I've got some F file pressure, but he's got a nice, the point of that positional sack was to get E5, and that's nice. It's an honour to play against that positional sack. Okay. Beautiful knights on E5. So, can I generate anything? That's the challenge. Generate any counterplay. I can't see any way of generating any counterplay at the moment. What about Rook D1? So, potentially D6 is vulnerable. If he castles... okay. Let's give my bishop a parking spot on H2. Reverse parking spot. Mind you, bishop G... Oh, there's no bishop G4, just hallucinate a bishop G4. The pawn's on E6. Although that would have been maybe a dangerous move for the H file. So I'm at 2274 now. 2274, overrated. 2274, approaching 2300. B5 it is. Okay, so I'm getting positionally crushed, am I? So I just want to know where he's castling. He's not offering any vulnerability, so it's like playing a Hearts League game, this one. There's absolutely nothing to exploit at all, no exploitable weaknesses at all. So what do you do in this kind of situation? The opponent has good prophylaxis, we can say that. The knight on E5, the positional sack, provides that good prophylaxis of positional security. There's a faint idea that maybe the F file one day might be useful, but at the moment everything's guarded by that huge, monstrous knight on E5. Can I knock it out? Knight D2 to F3. In fact, that's a worse piece. That's the best piece. Put them together. Knight D2 to F3. Solution. Not rocket science. If he takes there, he's weakening his dark squares a bit. If he allows Knight F3, okay. Can I get the G file? I can still take and play F4, get rid of his monster knight. I just need to get rid of that monster knight. F4 is a serious threat in its own right. Putting a pawn towards the centre. This is starting to transform a bit. Can't be pleased with this, can he? Surely. There's his pride and joy of the position. That knight. Well, that E5, isn't that just winning tactically? There's bishop C6 to consider, so a forcing move, E5. I take on H7. It's winning the exchange. It's opening up the F file. Now there's bishop C6 and rook G7. That's the point. So bishop E4 there. He takes. I take, it's still good for f6, so I'm still going to go for that. Bishop e4. I'll be on d6. Knight e3 has to be considered. Knight e3, maybe rook g1 check, or knight takes f6 check. That still looks good. So there's fe or there's rook g1. Any other forcing moves? There's queen d7 takes knight f6. Queen d7. Wow, docking computer is finding something. Queen d7 attacking the rook. The queen's actually protected. What about just f takes e? The rook just moves to say d8. So what about just fe? I think I'll just play fe. But it's something to bear in mind. Hang on a sec. Hang on, knight takes f6 and fe. Or fe, there's bishop e5, surely. No, bishop e5, knight e5, knight f6. Okay, I think I'm going to go for that. I want to get the f6 square for a knight. That would fork again, winning that rook again in another variation. So we just take on e5 and play knight f6. I feel a bit naughty. The opponent had a nice looking position. I don't know, it's like vandalism or something, getting rid of that nice looking knight. But there's a poetry about it, using the worst piece to destroy the best piece, you know, knight d2 to f3. Okay, so knight f6 check here. That looks pretty strong for just making sure that bishop's terrible. And also g-file. So I can dominate the g-file now with queen g4. There's knight e3. What about, so rook g2, there's knight e3. Okay, this pin's nasty. What about just queen f3? Offering a pawn. Okay, I offer the b2 pawn, I unpin. What do I do after unpinning? What about just rook f3 for the moment? No, I can't see a thing now. Queen g4, I can't see a thing. Queen g4, knight e3. Queen d3. I could try and get the rooks to the d file. I think I'll do that. I can't afford this huge pin on g2. So I'll attack that knight and then try and get the d file. Something like get the other rook, maybe g4 to d4. Unfortunately, okay, rook g4 would tie down the rook if he wants to munch f6. So I want to play rook d4 with a crude rook d8 threat. So knight c4, rook d4, rook h6. I'll bishop e5 at some point. What about bishop f6? Sorry, bishop f4. How does he get his thing out after bishop f4? I think I need the rooks connected though. Let's play rook d7 or something. And see, there's always going to be rook c4 and bishop e5 anyway. When I say always, actually, not here. Okay, time to panic. Rook d7, rook f6 doesn't work. Rook d8 doesn't work. Bishop f4, then rook c4, then bishop e5. There's king g7, that doesn't work. So panic stations, okay, panic stations. I don't know what to do, basically. What about bishop f4 and rook d7? Or rook d7? I think rook d7 on f7, vulnerability time. Rook d7 highlights f7's vulnerability without losing f6. Why is he so leisurely on the clock? He wants to play correctly. Bishop d4, bishop e3. If I force e5, what about rook f2 to g2? Oh dear. Is my poor pawn going? It is, isn't it? going to be just a time win, if any win. Time win. Sorry, I thought I had him. I had to just win on time. It got difficult. I apologise. But I thought I had a really good position. Ah, who is this guy? So I thought I had a great position. But he's tempting me for destroying my light squares with e5. This cannot be correct. Surely this looks like a great position. What about just queen f3? Here, queen f3 would knock out queen b7s because of knight f6 check. That would be so much more powerful. Just queen f3. He's on to another game, but queen f3, I think he's playing with fire here with the bishop and rook. So this was a major blunder then, knight f6. I've just given him major pin. Queen f3, I don't see what black does after queen f3. Can you guys maybe analyse this position? I think queen f3 has got all the benefits of knight f6 without the downside. So that would have been cool, but no, I get this position. And this looks bad because, you know, rook g8. Why is black doing badly now? He's not, and he hasn't got a bad bishop or anything. So it's just time pressure that really got him. So okay, time is part of the game. He was a bit luxurious in the game. If we look at the time situation earlier, it was quite bad. Anyway, comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks so much.